It is a steamy Friday night in the big city. We welcome you to Cincinnati and Great American Ballpark. The Reds are back home. It's only for 3, but home nonetheless. And the Dodgers in town in the first of 3 on this Friday night. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. You got to turn the page, Chris, on that 6-game road trip. Reds did not win a game. We do know they've been very good here at home. And whether it's here at home or on the road, Joey Votto has been really good all the time.
Oh, we've said it really since he started getting so hot. He's just locked in, and I've never seen him really any better than he's been right now. I mean, elevating the baseball. He's tough to pitch. The Padres played him very unusual defense when they had both the center fielder and left fielder in left field trying to take the left field away from him. But in this ballpark, the fans are there to retrieve those balls that he hits the left field. Plenty of power, plenty of on-base percentage. When Joey Votto's hitting like this, it takes the pressure off a lot of people in this lineup.
Well, right now it is a young man who was recently brought up from the minor leagues, Cody Bellinger, that's doing the damage for these Dodgers.
Well, it always seems like the Dodgers have a big, young, left-handed slugger coming up through their system. A couple of years ago, it was Jack Peterson who came up. In fact, he made the All-Star game right here in Cincinnati that year. This year, it's Bellinger. Big swing, you can see. A little bit of a loop in it right there, but plenty of power. I'll tell you, you've got to keep the ball way inside on him if you're going to take away some of that power.
All right, let's talk about tonight's pitching matchup. We begin for the Reds, where Tim Adelman, over about the last 3.5, 4 weeks, he has been the best starting pitcher in this Reds rotation.
Yeah, and he's one guy that we didn't really hear much about at all in spring training. Kind of under the radar, Tim Adelman. And you know, it's interesting because he's gotten better and better as the year has gone on, because he's learned to use his fastball and overuse his curveball. The curveball has always been his third pitch, but he's getting better and better at it, changing speeds, having more confidence, and he's soaring with confidence right now. Now, the Dodgers are a tough ball club, obviously, in this ballpark especially.
But what about the numbers from this young man? They've been waiting, thinking he's got a chance to be a great one, and he's been mighty good.
Yeah, you know what? It is coming together for Alex Wood. He doesn't do any one thing great, but he's got a nice slider that can put you away, both right-hander and left-hander. He throws hard enough, almost all four-seam fastballs, to keep his breaking stuff alive. And he's a guy that pretty much shuts down the running game, too, except for maybe Billy Hamilton. So a lefty-righty matchup tonight.
All right, when we come back, we'll check in with our main man standing along the Reds dugout, and that's Jim Day. Boy, are the Reds glad to be back on the home front. They'll tell you how glad they are. When we come back, you're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time.
Reds against the Dodgers tonight. It is going to be a great night for baseball, but a warm one. Temperatures will fall through the 80s pretty slowly. We'll be around 81 by the 7th inning. By the end of the game, we'll be falling into those mid-70s, but we'll have mostly clear skies. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio, and let's go Reds.
Brian Price talked about the inconsistent starting pitching for this Reds team, especially on the road. In fact, he says that's obviously the #1 detriment, not getting business done on the road. But here at home, it is a whole different story. It's our IGS bringing the energy. In fact, they've been amongst the best in Major League Baseball. They're 14-7 record, third in all the bigs, 6.5 runs per game. Only one team better in that category, and they have a plus 34 run differential. It's a short homestand, only 3 against the Dodgers, but the Reds hope to continue this success here at Great American Ballpark. It is the weekend honor. Scooter and Pete, Tom and Chris are coming up on the home of the Reds, Fox Sports Ohio.
Get the Reds off the schneid and in the 6-game losing streak as they're back on the home front, and they welcome the Dodgers from Los Angeles. 45-year-old second-year skipper Dave Roberts, his first season as manager of the Dodgers, led him to a divisional title and is the reigning National League's manager of the year. Take a look at their starting lineup tonight, presented by Menards. It'll begin with Utley at second, Seager at shortstop, and Justin Turner, the one-time Red, at third. The red-hot Cody Bellinger over at first. Chris Taylor in left. And the one-time Red, Yasmani Grandal behind the plate. Jock Peterson in center. Yasiel Puig in right. And Alex Wood, a 6-0 left-hander, a 2.01 ERA, is on the mound. Adelman's numbers presented by Mazda.
Except for a couple of clunkers, and that was early in the year. Really, one game in which he gave up 5 runs, another against Colorado where he gave up 6. Tim Adelman has been very consistent. He'll give you 6 innings. He'll keep the run total down somewhere between 2 and 3. He did pitch his last start against the Dodgers in Los Angeles, so they've had a fresh look at him. And sometimes that makes a pitcher try to change a little bit. For Adelman, though, all he has to do is execute his pitches, mix them up a little bit, and let the defense do some work behind him.
Reds got hammered in the opening game of that series in LA last weekend, 7-2. That's when they knocked Garrett out on that line drive very early in the game. The next two were tough ones. A 5-4 decision in the second game and that backbreaker in the finale when the Dodgers rallied for a 9-7 win. One pitch, one out. We're underway at the ballpark as Utley rolls one to Peraza. And the Reds on defense presented by Fuller. Pretty much a regular lineup we've seen each and every day this entire year. Cozart, the leading vote getter so far. It's short for the National League's All-Star team. Told you how hot Votto is, coming in with a 9-game hit streak. Corey Seager, the reigning National League Rookie of the Year, checks in at .285, has 9 home runs and 31 runs batted in.
Solid player all the way around. Defensively at the plate, he provides a little power. You know, there was always a question when Seager was coming up whether he was the best prospect in baseball. Well, what they called him was the safest prospect in baseball.
Votto a diving play behind the bag, and he'll feed the covering Adelman for out number 2.
Nice play by Votto. You know, they figured Seager was going to be up there pulling the ball. They were pinched a little bit around. Look how close to the line Joey Votto is playing right there. Not often do you see a first baseman who can get to a ball that is right on the line. Well, that saves you a lot of grief right there. Every one of those ground balls you catch, it keeps the ball from going down in the corner. Should be a steak dinner by a pitcher. I'm not so sure Joey Votto eats steak dinners. Cauliflower steak.
Well, then you and him would be very good dining partners.
Absolutely.
Justin Turner now the batting. Well, you look at all the money the Dodgers have spent. The last 3 years they have spent over $750 million. Imagine that on players' salaries. But one of the best decisions and investments they ever made was a $1 million contract they gave to this guy to really compete for a backup role on their bench going back to 2014. Turner has become one of the most productive hitters in the entire National League. What a play by Suarez, and he can't find the handle. Sure, that'll be an infield hit.
Well, Adelman's got it going on the ground. That's a good sign right there. They're hitting the top of the baseball and driving it down into that nice green grass, and just one little grab away from a 3-batter inning.
So now the big shift on the red-hot Dodger rookie Cody Bellinger. He blasted his 18th home run of the season yesterday and is now tied for 3rd in the National League with Scott Schebler and Eric Thames of the Milwaukee Brewers. And those guys, that trio trails just Joey Votto and Ryan Zimmerman, who each have 19. So this young man has 18 home runs and 40 runs batted in a total of 47 games. Remember, he did not begin this season with the major league team.
No, he didn't come up until the 25th of April, and he's still only 21 years old. But look at the way he stands. He's telling me by his stance he's just ready to drop that bad hat. He wants something down and away, and that's why Adelman's going to try to keep it inside and probably elevate. You know how many times you see it though, Tom? A young hitter comes up onto the league. He kind of catches fire. All of a sudden he catches everybody by surprise. And by the time September rolls around, or at least July or August, now they're beginning to learn how to pitch him a little bit. Although he's as hot as anybody in baseball over the last 5 games.
Well, you know what's interesting? You go back in the history of Major League Baseball, and Bellinger, in his first 47 games as a major leaguer, has the 18 home runs. Only one other player had more than that in his first 47 games ever. And that was Gary Sanchez of the New York Yankees. Now that was a young man who had all the talent in the world. We talked about him when the Yankees were here earlier this year, but you know, off the field he just couldn't kind of get it together. They wondered about his attitude, his work ethic, all those kinds of things. So those two guys have done it in back-to-back years. Got to go all the way back to Wally Berger of Boston when Boston played in the National League. for more home runs in a player's first 47 games. That ball hammered into right center field, and it's in the glove of Billy Hamilton, who flips it into the stands. Wow, was that ball hit. Reds are coming up when we return. Home run and strikeout in this game. Raises money for prostate cancer research. Keep Dad in the game. $3.3 million have been raised since the 1st of June. And if you're able, we invite you to make a pledge by going to homerunchallenge.org on this Father's Day weekend. Red starting lineup presented by Menards. Hamilton, Cozart, Votto to start it. Duvall, Suarez, and Schebler in the middle. Latter third of Peraza, Mesoraco, Adelman. Against Alex Wood. What a start he's off to.
Well, you're not kidding about that. Perfect in numbers as far as wins and losses for Alex Wood. He's 6-0 with a 2.0 earned run average. And what he is doing is something that many people who saw him pitch as a younger man said that he would never be able to do, which is repeat his delivery enough to have good control. He's got a wild kind of a windup where he hitches and haws, and his head goes one way and his arm goes the other way. He straight legs it out towards home plate, and all of a sudden here comes the ball. But out of that comes a fastball that can reach 94. He throws mostly two-seam fastballs, tries to sink them. He's got a curveball and a changeup.
This young man's only 26 years old. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina, and then wound up going to the University of Georgia, where, as Chris mentioned earlier, he was a number 2 pick in 2012 by the Braves. Spent all of 13 games in the minor leagues before they brought him up to the big leagues in just his second year of pro baseball. Pitched primarily out of the bullpen to start it, but then made 24 starts the following year at a sparkling 2.7 ERA. And then in 2015, 20 starts with Atlanta, 12 with the Dodgers, and missed a lot of time last year with some elbow trouble. In fact, he spent the overwhelming majority of last season on the disabled list with a sore elbow.
Yeah, they didn't bring him up until mid-September last year, and they were worried how that was going to affect him in the long run. Had elbow surgery during the season last year.
He strikes out Hamilton to begin the Reds' first inning.
This is what you're dealing with when you're facing Alex Wood. That looks conventional, and now it gets kind of funky on you.
Well, let's see if getting back on the home front, Cozart can kick it back into gear. He's had such an incredible season, but he did not have a single hit, and the Reds, of course, did not have a single win on the just completed road trip. Cozart went 0 for 14. He walked once, was hit by a pitch once, and scored a single run.
And eventually given a day off because his leg is really bothering him. What he's done, given the fact that he's been running himself out there with a bad quadriceps, is really amazing. I mean, he kept quiet about it for the longest time. Nobody knew that he was being bothered by a leg injury. It's not his knee. Not that he had. It's a muscle above. What's somewhat of an interesting pitcher if you really want to break it down. Most guys who throw two-seam fastballs will keep their ball down around the knees, and then when they want to throw it up around the letters, they go to the four-seamer. Woodruff doesn't do that. He just sticks with the same grip on all of his fastballs.
0-2 on Cozart, and a fastball is high. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Dodgers come in 41 wins against 26 losses. They are tied with Arizona for second place in the West, 1 game behind the front-running Rockies, and a line drive to Seager, 2 away in the inning. Take a look at the Dodgers on defense. You know, it's incredible with the amount of money they are spending on players. And you look around this position player group, and Chris, I think it surprises a lot of people when you look at a lot of guys who are certainly not household names. Bellinger just called up. Peterson has really struggled for the better part of 2 years. Taylor out in left. You know, Puig has been up and down over the last year plus. Well, last year was an incredible year when you take all things into consideration for the Dodgers. They've dominated now that National League West. They've won 4 straight divisional championships. 0-2 on Votto. Made the National League Championship Series twice. They've had to swallow millions and millions and millions in dead money, ridding themselves of players who really had worn out their welcome or they had no use for.
You're talking about guys like Carl Crawford, who this year they're paying more than $21 million to. And that would cripple a small market team. And other players that you may not have heard much of that they're paying, you know, $3, $4, $5 million to. There's a whole handful of them.
There's a base hit into right field. You may have noticed when Joey Votto walked up to the plate, he acknowledged the man who introduces him every night when he makes his way to the plate, Joe Zarahusen, who's been battling cancer himself. And Joe, one of the all-time great guys, was not on the last 2 homestands. He looks great, he sounds great, and this is a better place when he's here. Welcome back, Joe Z.
I had so many people, Tom, question me either, you know, on social media or on text or just coming up and ask me, where's the Reds PA guy? Because he has that such distinctive, big, booming voice.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing it ever since this ballpark opened.
And of course, he was a very famous radio DJ here in town for years and years and years and years, and we're lucky to have him as part of the Reds organization for a long time now. Good man. So a 2-out single from Votto allows Duvall to bat here in the opening inning. No score. 1 ball and 1 strike. Adam, as you know, in the month of May, led the major leagues with his 28 runs batted in. That's the most by a Reds batter in any calendar month since Jay Bruce knocked in 33 runs in May of 2011. One and two. Swing and a miss, and Grandal will fire down to first, and that'll tie a ribbon around the first inning. A hit, a man left, end of one. No score at Great American Ballpark. These pitchers, Chris, enjoy tremendous support when they're on the mound for their respective teams. Two of the top 5 in the National League.
So goes the old saying, it's not how you pitch, it's when you pitch.
Look at Joe Ross. I mean, most of those guys are in that 7 range. Big Joe Ross averaging 11 runs per start. It's not too bad. Chris Taylor to lead things off for the Dodgers. He has done most of his damage. Unlike the rest of his teammates, the Dodgers have been a great home team. And they're 25-10 at Dodger Stadium. On the road, nothing wrong with 500. You're playing that well at home. And this guy on the road has been a .330 batter. And in 25 games, has knocked in 15 runs with 4 long ones. One out. Gonna bring Yasmani Grandal to the plate. Former #1 pick of the Cincinnati Reds. You may remember in back-to-back seasons the Reds took Yonder Alonso and Yasmani Grandal as #1 picks, both out of the University of Miami at Florida.
Now 28 years old.
12th pick overall in the 2010 first-year player draft that year. Never played with the Reds at the major league level. He reached Louisville in 2011 before he was shipped off that winter, you may remember, in a trade that involved Yonder Alonso. Edinson Volquez was in that deal. Brad Boxberger, all those players in exchange for right-hander Matt Latos.
You know, it's interesting, Tom, because the two guys that are closest to each other right now in that baseball field were the subject of a lot of internal discussions. The Reds had 2 really good young catchers. They had drafted Devin Mesoraco out of high school. He was coming up through the system, maturing year by year, finally getting maybe major league ready. And then they had just drafted Yasmani Grandal from University of Miami, big-time college program. So who did they want to keep? You can't really keep both of them. And if you wanted to cut a deal for Matt Latos, the Padres wanted somebody. And it was Grandal that was put into that deal. I don't know whether they ever even talked about Mesoraco in that deal, but basically the Reds had to make that decision.
So, you know, you always hear general manager and baseball people say, well, you got to wait 5 years out to gauge a trade. Latos had 2 spectacular years here with the Reds. There is no denying that, and there's no way the Reds get to the playoffs in 2012 or 2013 without Latos. That is a given. Maybe remember the year when Cueto got hurt. Latos became the #1 starter, and he pitched like a #1 starter. But you give up Grandal, Alonso, Boxberger, and Volquez. There's a swing and a miss for strike 3. So if you play everything sort of forward, the Reds ultimately would trade Latos to get Anthony DeSclafani. And of course, you know, Alonso has since moved on, along with Boxberger and Volquez leaving San Diego. First strikeout of the game by Adelman, and here is Jock Peterson. Peterson, the prime example of where you never jump on that bandwagon too early when you see a young player come up initially and have incredible success, because he did. And he's never been the same guy since. Remember, in 2013, they brought him all the way up to the big leagues. And then, you know, he struggled in 14. 15, they brought him back up. He had 26 home runs. Wound up in the All-Star game, and I mean the wheels fell off the second half of the year. Batting average wound up at .210.
Well, just look at everything that he's got going on in his batting and his setup as he gets ready to swing. He's got a lot of body movement, takes a big long stride, drops his hands, pumps them a couple of times. That's a big swing right there. And when you get it, you hit it a long way.
Did he get enough of this one? It looks like he did. And he can do that. So Peterson, a 2-out solo home run here in the second inning to give the Dodgers a 1-0 lead.
Now the Dodgers have 3 left-handed hitters in their lineup that you've got to be careful with. We talked about Bellinger, Seager's another, and of course Jock Peterson. Peterson hit more than a couple of those during the All-Star home run hitting contest a couple of years ago when he came to town. In fact, it was, I think, Jock Peterson and Todd Frazier right down to the final wire in that very exciting home run hitting contest where the Great American Ballpark was just electric.
It was incredible.
And you were on the field doing the emceeing on that.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Frazier just had a ball and provided the single best highlight for all Reds fans of that entire year. And here's yet another guy that was all the rage of Major League Baseball when he came to the big leagues. Remember the debate about 3 years ago when he only came up for about a month and a half, put up incredible numbers, and everybody said, you know, should this guy go to the All-Star game? They asked the question. He wound up in the All-Star game. And many thought he was on his way to being in an All-Star game year after year after year. Yasiel Puig. But that has not been the story. He's still young. He's only 26. He turned 26 over the winter. But since that magical year in 2013 when he hit .319 and 19 home runs, 42 batted in, and barely over 100 games, had a good solid year the next year, but the last 2 seasons they've started to run out of patience. There's ball 4. So the inning will continue for the pitcher, Alex Wood.
Well, he's very dangerous. Nearly went on this one, did Puig.
Wood is a batter, 1 hit and 17 trips. That'll back up Suarez, and he'll plant and throw the Votto to retire the side. But Peterson plays long ball to give the Dodgers a 1-0 second inning lead.
Scooter Gennett in his 4-home run night. They gave him a custom shadow box with his jersey, lineup card, and a 4th home run ball he hit that night. A custom engraved bat from Shadow Bats. A framed letter from Commissioner Manfred and Zach from Fairfield, who gave him back that 4th home run ball throughout a ceremonial first pitch. But hey, it was capped off by fittingly giving Scooter a scooter, as Tom Browning, dare I say, perfectly rode that scooter in for Scooter Gennett. And also today, he got a letter from a leprechaun. What am I talking about? Well, Lucky the Leprechaun. Seems that Scooter Gennett is a big fan of Lucky Charms, the cereal, and General Mills got wind of it that he likes to save the marshmallows for last. So that Lucky Charms marshmallows box on the left, well, that is very, very special, and they are hard to come by. They sent him that with a framed letter from Lucky the Leprechaun. And he's got a bunch of Lucky Charms.
That's great stuff there, Jim Dane. It was fun being out on the field before the game tonight. And I think Scooter was totally stunned by Tom Browning riding that scooter, and thank God he made it safe. There's a double by Suarez to open up the Reds' second inning.
Did you check out the music that they were playing while Tom Browning was delivering that scooter?
No, what was it?
Born to be Wild.
Nice.
That ball was hit so hard it turned around Chris Taylor all different ways by the time it bounced up against the left field wall. Wood throws a lot of fastballs early in the counts. That's what Suarez was hunting, and that's what he got.
So now the Reds trying to tie this thing up quickly after the Peterson home run in the top of the inning. The batter is Schebler, the one-time Dodger farmhand, and made it to the big leagues with the Dodgers. Got jammed with that pitch. He makes it out, but a productive out. As he advances Suarez down to third, 1 out. Peraza, another former Dodger, coming up. So you've got a lot of former Dodgers playing for the Reds or players in their farm system. And you have a number of players in a Dodger uniform tonight who at one point in time or another spent time inside the Reds organization. When the Reds played Wood and the Dodgers last Friday night, Wood was riding the wave of a 27 consecutive scoreless inning streak. 27 1/3 to be exact. That ended when he allowed an RBI single to Jose Peraza, who bats the other runner at third.
He had a great series against the Dodgers. In fact, in 11 at bats, he had 6 hits. That's only the 4th time this year that Wood has allowed more than 3 earned runs or more in a ball game. That last time he pitched against the Reds.
Career numbers against Los Angeles pretty doggone good for Peraza. Play coming to the plate, and the runner will be out. 2 away in the inning. Now Devin Mesoraco. .231 batter, has 4 doubles, 5 home runs, 9 runs batted in. Runner at first, 2 outs. Dodgers in front, 1-0. He went around a strike. Now they have the runner caught. And a diving attempt, and applying the tag is Bellinger. He did that quite well without a single throw. And that'll end the inning. We go to the third, 1-0, LA in front.
And today, Cincinnati. He was finally here at Great American Ballpark running the steps, and then he threw a bullpen. It's the first time the manager, Brian Price, has laid eyes on him out of the bullpen. He will pitch for AAA Louisville in the next few days, and They want to get him up near the 100 pitch mark. If it goes well there, it could be his final rehab start. They will reassess after that one, but closer than not if everything goes well. And there is Homer Bailey in the dugout tonight.
All right, Jim Day, thank you very much. And Lord knows the Reds could use Homer Bailey back in this battered starting rotation. A rotation which had one starter go beyond 5 innings in a game on that recently completed 0-6 road trip. Red starters ranked last in the major leagues in both starting rotation ERA, just a fraction under 6 at 6 runs per 9 innings. And dead last in the number of total innings pitched. Top of the order, Chase Utley with the Dodgers leading 1-0. A home run by Peterson in the second, the difference thus far. Boy, Utley looked really good at the plate in that series against the Reds. Seems like every time the Reds see this guy, he looks good at the plate. 10 career home runs here at Great American Ballpark. Hamilton will run that one down, stayed in the air long enough for Billy to catch up with it. 1 away. Positioned perfectly is Cozart for the one hopper off the bat of the left-handed hitting Seager. 2 away in the LA third. You can crush home runs, dominate in your very own Derby competition in the official MLB.com Home Run Derby game on the App Store and Google Play. Download Home Run Derby for free tonight. 2 away for Turner. Turner had an infield hit the ball sharply. A diving play made by Suarez, who was unable to corral it and went for an infield hit. Turner, originally a 7th round draft pick by the Reds in June of 2006, was in the Reds organization that year, the following year, the start of the next year, and wound up finishing a 3rd season in the Reds minor league system before he was traded along with Ryan Friel to Baltimore for catcher Ramon Hernandez. But it took him a while to become a regular. He was with Baltimore for about a year and a half. Went to the Mets, primarily a role player, a bench player for 4 years, as he is aboard at first with 2 outs in the inning. But it all turned around in 2014. Hit .340 for the Dodgers in 109 games. And then the next 2 years, Chris, he goes 16 and 27 home runs, 60 and 90 runs batted in.
Well, after last year, he became a free agent. That's when he re-upped here in Los Angeles.
Young man Bellinger hit the ball right on the screws his first time up.
Yeah, that was a pitch that Adelman let drift back across the plate. If you're going to go out there, you better go low and away, probably something off speed, and that's what it is.
Bellinger hit that laser to straightaway center field that knuckled its way into the glove of Billy Hamilton. And look at these numbers, as Chris mentioned earlier, brought up the final week of April. 18 home runs, 5 more than the next closest National League player. 4 times he's hit more than 1 in a game. And look at the Dodgers record, most important of all. That's when you know you're going good.
That's a pretty good swing, though, for a 2-strike compensation. He went 0-2 and got something off speed. May have learned something from the delivery earlier in the at-bat when he got a changeup. Actually got the fat part of the bat on it. You know, the Dodgers had 3 really top prospects a couple of years ago. One was Corey Seager, ends up being an all-star rookie of the year. The other was a left-handed pitcher, Julio Urias. Very talented left-handed. And the third was the one you just saw there, Cody Bellinger.
So 2-out action here for the Dodgers will bring Chris Taylor to the plate. Adelman quickly retired the first 2 batters here in the inning before a walk and now a single, and work to do to get that final out. Pulled down the left field line towards a corner. That one is up against a wall. It will score Turner. They're going to wave around Bellinger. The Reds miss the cutoff man. And the throw on the second cutoff man guns him down in the plate. So Duvall originally missed Kozart, but the second cutoff man behind him was Suarez. And they get the out at home. It'll go as an RBI double. Suarez, a strike to cut down Bellinger for a would-be 3rd run. Right center, Angel Thompson from Fairfield will win that beautiful new Tundra. Register for your chance to win. Just stop by your Cincinnati and/or Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer.
You know, when you set up a relay, you always have double relay men. You have the guy coming in close, and that would be Zach Kozar, and he let that ball go through. And right behind him on the same line would be the 3rd baseman. So if the throw goes over the first relay, you have a backup plan there, and that worked perfectly there for the Reds as a quick turn by Suarez nailed his man at the plate.
Nothing in 1 on Devin Mesoraco. The Dodgers out to a 2-0 lead. They've scored in each of the last 2 innings. A home run by Peterson and the run scoring double by Taylor. Mesoraco at the plate when Peraza officially went as a caught stealing, but in essence was picked off by Wood, ending the 2nd inning. Fly ball to right. That'll be handled by Puig for out number 1. Alex Wood tonight is only starting for the 10th time. He's pitched in 2 games out of the bullpen. Perfect 6-0 record. Batters hitting collectively coming into the game tonight at 193 against him. He's only walked 15 batters, so his walks and hits per innings pitch is fewer than 1 at 0.99. So you look up and down all pitchers' active major league streaks of consecutive starts without a loss. Dallas Keuchel of Houston 13. Marcus Stroman of Toronto with 10. Then you have Wood and Hamels each at 9 without a loss. Adelman 2 hits and 19 at bats. One of those hits was a double, you may remember, that knocked in a couple of runs. Stares that one all the way into the mitt of Grandal, and it misses low. 3 balls and a strike to the Reds pitcher. Reds have not drawn a walk in this game. Will Adelman be the first? We'll know in a moment. 3-2. Good crowd on this beautiful night. This is a summer night tonight. There's strike 3 called, and Adelman knew it. That last homestand, we had a lot of cool nights around here. But there is no debate as we begin this very short 3-game series and homestand that summer is alive and well in Cincinnati. And a reminder, coming up a little bit later on, we'll have our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. We're going to be down in your old stomping ground, Mr. Welsh, beginning on Monday night.
Long time ago. Down in the Tampa Bay area. In fact, that was down at that was also Jim Day's old stomping ground. I think he got his television start down in the Tampa Bay area. Jim Day was, I don't know if he was an anchor down there,
well,
or
why don't we ask
him? But we've got he's definitely got a connection.
I actually got my start in Columbus, Ohio, but then went to Tampa and was there when the Tampa Bay Devil Rays became a franchise. They were the Devil Rays then, not just the Rays.
That's right. That was 1998.
Yep. Was down there for that team and returned in 2000 to cover my beloved Reds.
Back to the Buckeye State. That's where Jim Day belongs. And look at him now. He's Mr. CincinnatiUSA.com. But you know they still miss him and love him down in the great state of Florida, because he's a little ray of sunshine in the Sunshine State. Live will kick off our coverage. A huge day tomorrow. Special time at 3 o'clock. We'll have all the on-field ceremonies surrounding the statue unveiling of Peter Edward Rose. Swing into summer, and a place to be is Fox Sports Ohio and Fox Sports Go, presented by Click It or Ticket. Want to know on Yasmani Grandal. The Dodgers bat here in the 4th inning with a 2-0 advantage. Game 1 of 3. Then the Reds are right back on the road to Tampa for 3. They actually play in the city of St. Petersburg. And then to D.C. for 3 after that. The statue dedication at 1 o'clock. The pregame ceremonies at 3:30. Here's viewing party. Look at Suarez. Wow, what a long way to go to bring that one in foul ground. Well done by Suarez.
Well, that would normally be a very easy play for the third baseman, but the Reds were really shifted around, and Suarez came from deep shortstop. Boy, that is one heck of an effort.
So 1 away in the inning, and back to close to his regular position, although not quite as Suarez, as they play Peterson in a modified shift. Big swing by Peterson. Now, this entire Reds defense has been spectacular, and Suarez fits right into that fold. I mean, you know, even when they're not winning games, you saw the relay throw on the recent road trip made by Scooter Gennett to cut down a runner a minute ago. Duvall hits Suarez, and then Suarez a perfect relay throw to cut down Bellinger at home. The Reds defense has been great. Second best fielding percentage behind Colorado in the league. That's a fair ball and a ground rule double by Peterson.
Boy, did he turn on that little inside pitch right there. Showed me something there. Because Peterson is a guy that pitchers are going to just pound inside. He's got a big long swing, a little bit of a loop, but he's got tremendous power. He brought his hands right inside to shorten that swing and get enough of the barrel on it to hit it hard and keep it fair. This is a very tough lineup to face as a right-handed starter. And when you face the Dodgers, you better have a couple of left-handers in your bullpen ready to go, because they'll bring left-hander after left-hander up late in the game, all with home run power.
Number 8 hitter Yasiel Puig walked his first time up. Runner at second, 1 out. The pitcher spot due up next. 1-1 to Puig. Slow breaking ball way out in front, came up empty.
Back-to-back curveballs right here. We talked about that about Adelman a little bit early in the game. In fact, we talked about it on our Tech Talk. That's one of the real breakthroughs for him this year, is his ability to back-to-back throw curveballs, to use it more often than he's ever used it before. Used to be just kind of a complementary pitch to his main two, which were fastball, changeup.
Peterson a 1-out double. Out at second base, it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Adelman and Puig, and here it comes. Pulled down the left field line towards the corner, and that is a foul ball.
So you wonder if maybe you've gone to the well one too many times when you see the hitter adjust a little bit. That was even a better one that he threw his last one. And that's why Mesoraco, I think, is out there talking to him now. Pitch on the lower part of the plate. Puig went right down there to get it.
It's hard to understand right there, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the Dodger people have said that about Yasiel Puig a lot.
Yep.
There's a lot of difficult to understand things that surround a talent like him.
Swing and a miss for another great breaking ball, and that's a second out of the inning. First strikeout since the second inning for Adam.
So 4 in a row, and he finally got him. That's a great example of expanding the strike zone.
So a 2 down for the pitcher, Alex Wood. He hit a 1-hopper down to third, was thrown out by Suarez, ending the second inning. Dodgers have scored in each of the last 2 innings, trying to make it a scoreless fourth. Dodgers in front 2-0. Cubbies out to a 3-0 lead in Pittsburgh tonight. That game in the bottom of the third inning. Padres will play in Milwaukee. That game will start just in a couple of minutes from now. And the Cardinals are in Baltimore in an early 3-0 lead. And that'll put the pitcher aboard. Boy, you get the pitcher up there with 2 outs in an inning. And unable to put him away is Adelman.
Be interesting to see how Chase Utley plays this at bat. First time up, he swung at the first pitch, made an easy outlet. Last time up, he saw 2 or 3 pitches before he hit a line drive to center field. This guy seemingly has been playing forever.
And he's hitting the back with a pitch to load him up. So all of a sudden, Adelman is in trouble. He allowed a 1-out double to Peterson, but then that the strikeout of Puig for the second out of the inning. He walks a pitcher the first time Wood has drawn a walk from anybody, and hits Utley to load him up for Corey Seager, and that'll bring Mac Jenkins from the first base dugout to the mound. Seager last weekend against the Reds on Saturday did something for the first time in his young blossoming major league career, and that's in the game with a base hit. It came off Cingrani. Diving attempt out there, but that was that. And then the Reds had the crushing loss the next inning, where they had the huge lead, and the Dodgers would rally for a 9-7 win on that Sunday against Raisel Iglesias, his first blown save of the year. Seager would say after the game that not only was it his first walk-off hit as a major leaguer, as far as back as he could remember, even growing up as a kid, it was the first time he ever ended a game with a base hit.
Well, watch the first pitch here. He loves hacking at the first one he sees.
And And he does hack at it, lifts a fly ball to left center field. So that's that. Dodgers leave them loaded, middle of the fourth. Dodgers in front of Adelman and the Reds, 2-0.
Fan Express to Great American Ballpark, presented by Kroger in Cincinnati, USA. For more information about securing the Fan Express for your group, log on to reds.com/Fan Express. Little did I know back in spring training when I broke the story, if you will, about Joey Votto wanting to buy Zach Cozart a donkey if he makes the All-Star team for the first time. Little did I know it would have so much legs. The recent interview with Votto about Cozart all over social media and all over the baseball world. And today when we got to the ballpark, it was the Zach Cozart Donkey Donuts. Check it out. Buskin's selling these bad boys, and they had boxes of them for everyone to devour here at the ballpark. Hashtag vote Cozart in donut form. Looking good.
Those are very, very nice. Did you try one of those, Jim Day?
The upset of the night is that I only had one.
That is the upset of the night. How was it?
Delish.
Well, anything made by Buskin is going to be great.
It was very, very good.
Chris, you try one of those? I would not ask that. No. That's a stupid question. Very, very stupid question.
But they look good.
They look really good. Cozart lifts a fly ball on a 1-0 pitch. It's run down out in short left field by Chris Taylor. And that's the way things begin here in the Reds' fourth inning. They're trailing by a count of 2-0.
Right now, Alex Wood is really where he wants to be as far as in the Reds lineup. He's had the hitters pretty much behind his fastball, ahead of his off-speed stuff. He's throwing a ton of strikes. Out of the 38 pitches he has thrown, 29 of those have been strikes. So he's a strike-throwing machine. Well, they really have 3 hard-hit balls on the night. One of them belongs to Joey Votto.
You know, the Dodgers a year ago, it was just a miracle this team won the National League West. They had 28 players, which was a record, go on the disabled list over the course of a year. None more important than Clayton Kershaw, who was on the disabled list for 10 weeks. Oh, dear. There's a jam shot roller that will be the second out of the inning on the ground ball to the shortstop Seager. But I mean, you think about that. You're Dave Roberts. You take over for Don Mattingly, who who had won 3 straight divisional championships. You become a first-year manager. And the one guy you cannot lose if you're going to win the division, right, is Clayton Kershaw. Well, all of a sudden he's got back problems, herniated disc. He goes on the disabled list for 10 weeks, 2.5 months. They use 28 players, and yet they pull off nearly the impossible by once again winning the National League West.
And Dave Roberts takes home Manager of the Year.
They use 15 different starters, so many of them rookies.
You know, I think when you're managing in Los Angeles, managing the team is probably the easiest part of your job. Managing the chaos around it can be some kind of distracting.
Well, that's a nice play by Turner. He watched that one all the way into the glove and throws out Duvall in a 1-2-3-4. First perfect for back-to-back perfect innings for Wood. He leads 2-0. The Reds honor Peter Edward Rose. That'll be here tomorrow. Arrive early and see the Hit King's bronze statue unveiled as part of a special Bud and Burgers viewing party. That'll be from noon to 3:30 along the banks, and the first 30,000 fans tomorrow get a replica statue. We invite you to come down to the ballpark tomorrow, and a reminder, it is a 4:10 first pitch tomorrow. We'll have all the ceremonies, an hour-long pregame if you can't come down, right here on Fox Sports Ohio. In fact, right now they have a big dinner going on down the right field line. Many dignitaries and many teammates of the Hit King. There he is.
Hey, don't bother him now. He's watching the ball game.
I was thinking that same thing when they had that dinner lined up for Pete Rose. I'm thinking to myself, you better make sure he's sitting somewhere where he can see a TV. Because, I mean, he is really dialed in.
John Warden and George Foster. There's Joe.
Ken Griffey Sr. Johnny Bench. Boy, how about that trio? Great to see Joe Morgan back here in town. He's battled so many physical problems over the last year and a half. And, you know, there were people very, very worried about him. And we understand now he's doing great, getting better and better every day, and thank God for it, because one of the great guys that we've ever had the pleasure of getting to know. And I don't mean just guys who are great baseball players. Whatever he's done, he's been great at it. Business world, you know, he owned all the hamburger franchises and the beer distributorships. Of course, his broadcasting career could end up landing him for a second time in the Baseball Hall of Fame as a Ford Frick Award winner one day. That would not be a surprise. 3-2 on Justin Turner. Been aboard twice in the game, an infield single in the first. He walked and scored in the third inning. Adelman has been pretty wild by his standards anyway. He's walked 3 batters. He's hit a batter so far in the game tonight. And now a 3-2 pitch coming up to Turner. It's another walk.
That's about the 3rd or 4th time now that Devin Mesoraco's been out to try to get Adelman back on track. You know, when you're cruising right along, and he was fairly cruising along, has not had a 1-2-3 inning, but he's been around the plate. And just this last inning, when you walk the pitcher and you hit Utley on the very next pitch, and then you lead this inning off with a walk. You know, the hitter with the bases loaded last inning with 2 outs, Corey Seager, never gave Adelman much of a chance to do anything. He swung at the first pitch and flew out to center to end the threat. But something's clearly going on here with Adelman, and I would suggest it's more mental than it is physical.
Bellinger a line out to Hamilton and a single to center field. Knocked down by Adelman. And he will throw Bellinger out. Bellinger swinging on a 3-0 pitch. And let's see if Adelman's okay. No one from the Reds training staff coming out yet.
Other than seeing the life go before his eyes right there is fine.
Of course, Amir Garrett had to leave the game last Friday night in Los Angeles on a ball that hit him on the pitching left hand.
He's telling Steve Bauman he got the glove up perfectly.
Steve Bauman, the head trainer, along with Matt Jenkins and manager Price, will walk back to the dugout. So 1 on and 1 out. That'll bring Taylor to the plate. He grounded to short his first time up, then doubled down the left field line, knocking in a run in the third. See, this guy's done some nice things, you know, when you have a lot of other young players around. And he's not as young as some of these other guys like Seager and Bellinger, but you know, I don't know how much they were counting on Chris Taylor being a real number 5 hitter in the middle of this Dodger lineup. But the bottom line is he has an on-base percentage of up close to 400. And he has 8 home runs and now 29 runs batted in.
Well, he's taken great opportunity of the opportunity of being in the everyday lineup. I mean, he does strike out a lot. He chases a lot of pitches.
Straight up in the air and playable. It looks like in fair ground for Suarez. It is 2 outs. Well, now Grandal, he's a feast or famine sort of guy. He led all catchers in baseball in home runs a year ago, but a very, very low batting average and very low on base percentage. At 27 home runs. But the one area they really like Grandal's game is that emerging area of pitch framing. Now, Chris, do you buy into that? They say he added 24 runs in value by one estimate, second only to Buster Posey.
Sounds good to me.
So you think that's a legitimate stat?
I don't know whether you can
About saving
translate
runs?
it exactly to runs like that, but I know that he's good behind the plate. Pitchers love throwing to him. You know, oddly enough, as much as we like Tucker Barnhart over the last few years, Tucker's not had great ratings when it comes to pitch framing. So I think a lot of that is not only the catcher. It might be the umpire who's behind the plate at that time. Because what a pitch frame means is that you're taking a pitch that is technically out of the strike zone as measured electronically, but yet the umpire calls it a strike. So they give the credit to the catcher for fooling the umpire into thinking a ball is a strike. Well, some umpires have bigger zones than others. So there's your first flaw in that way that goes. Unless you're doing it in a way that I don't understand.
1-2 on Grandal. That pitch nearly hit him.
Seems though that every time Yasmani Grandal is off to a good season, it happened to 2015, it happened in 16, and he get injured, it would sidetrack him. In fact, he started the season off last year on a horrendous note. He was batting under 180 by the time that June came and went. But from July 1 on to the end of the year, he hit 20 home runs and batted up around 270. So that's after his wrist and forearm pain began to subside and he started playing healthy.
2-2 the count. Runner at second with 2 away. And gone swinging Grandal, and we're off to the bottom of the fifth. Dodgers 2, Reds nothing. You again this year. It's called the Kroger Meal Deal. Check concession stands around the ballpark for the Kroger Meal Deal, which includes a hot dog, a bag of chips, a 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, Jack Link's beef jerky. Make sure to get your Kroger Meal Deal your next time at Great American Ballpark. Reds with some work to do as they come to bat against Alex Wood here in the last of the fifth inning, trailing 2-0. The Reds have managed 2 hits, a 2-out single by Votto in the first, a leadoff double by Suarez in the second inning. Suarez to be followed by Schebler and Peraza. Reds had a scoring chance, you may remember, as Suarez is drilled in the back. So you have a Dodger hit that was Utley, and now you have a Red hit in Suarez.
Oh, you can see the reaction from Alex Wood that there was no intention of that at all. He threw a first pitch changeup and then drilled him with a fastball, wanting to make sure he got it in there. And as a pitcher, I got to tell you, if you're in a tight ball game like Wood and Adelman are right now, if you're going to miss your spot, you'd rather miss it in somebody's ribs than over the center of the plate.
So now Schebler. Straight up into the air, deep left center field. A long run out there for Taylor, but he'll get to it shy of the track. And that will be the first out here in the Reds' 5th inning. The Reds had that scoring chance, you may remember. Perhaps you weren't with us back in the 2nd inning. They had a leadoff double by Suarez. He went to third on a ground out by Schebler to the right side. And then Peraza came up there. It was a 1-0 Dodger lead at the time, and hit a ground ball right to the drawn in shortstop Seager, who easily cut down Suarez at the plate. Boy, look at this pitch count so far for Alex Wood. This will be just his 48th pitch of the game. He's not walked a batter. He's fanned 3 and allowed the 2 base hits.
And he's a guy that really keeps it simple. In an era where it seems like more and more pitchers are inventing different pitches, they're inventing different arm angles, they're all falling in love with the cutter and the split finger pitch. Wood goes fastball, curveball, changeup. 60% fastballs, 20% curveballs, 20% changeups, but it's executing those pitches that has made him so good. He's just getting better and better seemingly every year if he can stay healthy.
His strike percentage is at 77% so far in this game.
Now that's off the charts. That's how you end up pitching complete games, because he's only got 48 pitches. And here he is in the 5th inning.
One on, one out, nothing in 2-1. Peraza. And lined into center field. It'll fall in a base hit. On to second goes Suarez. So the Reds have action with the number 8 hitter Mesoraco coming up.
He gets an 0-2 slider that catches the center of the plate, but it's down, and he goes down below the strike zone, does Peraza, to protect the plate, and he puts it on a line right to center field. That's a pretty good bit of hitting. That's taking advantage maybe of what, a little more than what Alex Wood thought he was going to give you.
So Mesoraco representing the lead run at the plate. 2 on, 1 out. And a fastball is on the inside corner, a strike. And now Grandal going to step out in front of the plate, let everybody know what is going on defensively here.
You really only do that if you're expecting perhaps a bunt. Now the Reds do have a pinch hitter in the on-deck circle.
Well, maybe Grandal doesn't know how many outs there are, because with nobody, well, to begin with, Mesoraco's not bunting anybody. And secondly, there's already 1 out in the inning. That was a double play signal to get out of the inning. And that's the way it is. We played 5. Dodgers lead 2-0. Ohio, brought to you by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together. And by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. Always love to send a big hello to those watching over at Cincinnati Children's tonight. Hope you're having a great day and an even better one tomorrow. Time of the year. See more and more boats out on the mighty Ohio.
Yeah, they'll be clearing them out of there after this ball game. Of course, this is the 6th Fireworks Friday that the Reds have put on so far this summer. Boy, it is some kind of showdown here too.
Huge crowd here tonight.
Well, the pinch hitter never made it to the plate, so Tim Adelman will get one more inning.
Adelman went 5 against these Dodgers out west last week and trying to get through the 6th inning here tonight. In their strike to Peterson. Been a good night for Peterson. He came in hitting under 200. And yet he has a solo home run to right center and a double down the right field line. And with a few number at bats for Peterson, who came off the DL, that batting average has jumped 14 points with 2 hits and 2 at bats tonight. Those Padres all of a sudden are red hot. They've jumped out to a 4-0 lead in the 2nd inning at Milwaukee tonight. After, of course, sweeping the Reds 3 in a row out at Petco Park Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Milwaukee, the division leader, with a 2.5 game advantage over the Cubbies from Chicago, 4.5 over St. Louis, 5 over the Pirates, 5.5 over the Reds. The Cubs continue to be a very, very perplexing team so far this year. It looks like you think they're kind of getting it going again, and then they slip into a losing streak. Cubs 3-1 leaders at Pittsburgh in the 5th inning tonight.
Yeah, the Cubs are perplexing because they have not been able to get it going on the road. They only have 2 more road wins than do the Reds, and the Reds are one of the worst in the National League when they get away from their home ballpark.
Adelman will handle the tapper back to the mound. 1 out.
Interesting story really on the Reds, how the Reds landed Tim Adelman. The Reds have a scout named Sean Pender, who was a former college coach at St. Joe's. Adelman out of high school was all set to go to St. Joe's, but the problem was Pender decided to retire. So he sent Adelman instead, who was a very good student, to go down and look at Georgetown, where he ended up going to school, got drafted by the Orioles, pitched a couple of years in the minor leagues organization. Never a really great prospect. And then got released, but he wanted to keep his dream alive. So he was referred to a couple of different independent teams and leagues, and he finally ended up playing for the New Jersey Jackals. And the coach of the Jackals knew Sean Pender and said, hey man, you got to come and see your guy Adelman. He's all of a sudden throwing 94 miles an hour. So Pender went over, looked at him, recommended that the Reds sign him. He did. And he worked his way kind of stealthily up the Reds minor league system. The next thing you know, here he is, probably the most consistent pitcher the Reds have run out there so far in 2017.
There is no debate about that. And you know, he threw the ball well last year when he got a chance to pitch. I mean, by and large, he did last year what he's done so far this year, and that's giving, 5, 6, 7 innings. And by and large, keep you in every game that he started. He had a couple of clunkers, everybody does, but then he got hurt. Had he been able to pitch the rest of the season, it would have been pretty interesting to see what his year would have ended up. Two and two on Yasiel Puig, who has walked and struck out. Adelman is looking for his first perfect inning of the game. 3 times in the front 5 innings. He retired the first 2 batters in the inning. And didn't miss by much.
And I got to tell you, you know, when you see that happen, it's not just circumstance. It's a little concentration. It's the lack of a killer instinct in the pitcher to just mow the 3rd guy down. Let's get the inning over. Because it's very natural to, once you get 2 outs, you relax. You say, well, I'm out of this inning. All I need is 1 more out to get out of there. And all of a sudden, you know, you relax just a little bit, you walk somebody. Or somebody hits a ball hard, or you give up a home run.
Blew him away with a fastball. And now the first 2 are retired in the 6th inning by Adam.
So in back-to-back at bats against Puig, he's got him chasing a slow curveball down the dirt for strike 3 his last time up, and a perfectly placed up and in fastball right there.
So now the pitcher would, you know, you look at the 2 scoring innings to back up what you're talking about, Chris. The 2 scoring innings for the Dodgers in this game. He retired it out of him in the first 2 batters in each of those innings. He gave up the home run in the 2nd inning with 2 outs to Peterson. And then in the 3rd, it was a 2-out walk to Turner. Turner would go to second base on a single by Bellinger, and then Turner would score on a double by Taylor. Bellinger thrown out at the plate to end the inning. And a slow bouncer to the left side. Cozart will handle it. And that is the first perfect inning of the night, and what is the final inning of the night for Adam.
Father's Day with the Reds. First 10,000 dads through the gates will receive a Father's Day cap. Thanks to Cons. For tickets, visit reds.com. Check out our big story. And yesterday, it was the annual congressional baseball game, Democrats versus the Republicans. And this one had renewed importance because it came one day in the wake of the tragic shooting of Congressman Steve Scalise, excuse me. And over 24,000 fans showed up at Nationals Park in the nation's capital in a show of unity. And they raised over $1 million for the Congressional Sports for Charity. By the way, the Democrats won the game 11-2, but they had a prayer at second base before the game. Truly a bipartisan event. And again, the message of unity in the wake of that tragic shooting. Good sign yesterday. We hope that our country can come together on bigger issues coming up.
Rick Honeycutt comes out to the mound. Thank you, Jim Day. Long-time pitching coach of these Dodgers. I mean, he has survived regime after regime. That tells you how highly they think of Rick Honeycutt.
He's another guy that is able to kind of slow down the pace around the Dodger ball club, especially around the pitching staff. There are just so many distractions, and it's New York West with maybe even a little bit more soap opera. And of course, the expectations for this Dodger team year in and year out, when you're spending $247 million, which I think is what the Dodger payroll is, they expect a lot.
Pretty smooth play there made by Seager to throw out Alcantara to lead off the inning. If they keep sort of trending, though, like they're trending, and that was a goal when they brought in the general manager, Andrew Friedman, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or the Tampa Bay Rays, to, become a more analytical team and statistically based team. They are getting younger and younger. Now, they have some of that money, we talked about earlier, of players that either aren't playing or they're not here at all. They're not even on the roster, whatever the case may be. They're nowhere near Los Angeles, the area code. But they have a chance to have that start to drop and drop dramatically in the next couple of years. Because, man, they paid more than a king's ransom just to buy the team. And then the operating costs have just been through the roof. What was some terrible decisions made in signing players to big money long-term contracts. Dodgers are never going to be a team that's spending $100 million a year. I'm not going to imply that. That's not going to happen. It's going to be 180 plus every year, but it's not going to be 300.
You can see how it could get to 300, though.
Oh yeah,
and it could get there in, say, as early as 2019, because you'll still be paying, for instance, Clayton Kershaw $35 million a year just to start. They've got this year and next year of $22 million with Adrian Gonzalez. They're paying Scott Kazmir $17 both this year and next year. And, some younger players like Justin Turner, long-term deal through 2020. His salary goes up every year. And now if they want to go out and try to start bidding on some of the free agents that are coming due in the next few years, Manny Machado, Bryce Harper, and any of the multitude of pitchers that will be available as well.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, because, it's one thing, and we've talked about this many, many times in reference to, the quote-unquote Moneyball theory of putting together a team, and Theo Epstein was given large credit for that in Boston. Go look up the team payroll for the Boston Red Sox every year once they started getting good. They weren't doing it the Moneyball way in Boston.
Well, they signed
it's not Billy B, you know what I mean?
Right.
Who is having to try and put together teams on a shoestring budget. Now, you might base bringing players into your organization and spending big money on statistical analysis and data, which the Cubs did some of that. But the Cubs, by and large, became very, very good in two ways. They had some good drafts consecutively.
They did. After
some terrible years where they were losing 90 games a year, and they spent a fortune in free agency, especially on pitchers. And then they brought in Jason Hayward. I don't think he's going to be some analytically based sort of player, is he? Jason Hayward, not a big walk guy, doesn't, nothing like that. High on base percentage guy.
I can't tell you that. I don't know.
Well, he's not.
I know he's not a high on base percentage
so
guy.
I'm just saying.
There's a lot more to.
Yeah, there is, but you know what I'm getting at here is it,
yeah.
They have spent a ton of money, is the point I'm making, on players and a payroll that is right around $200 million, or shortly there, short of $200 million. And in fairness to Theo Epstein, they've made incredible trades.
Yes, they have.
Incredible trades. And another one of those young men who's starting to pay dividends is the #1 pick out of the University of Cincinnati, Ian Happ. Just another guy along with Schwarber and Bryant. Made the trade to get Rizzo and Addison Russell. 2-1 on Kozak. Swing underneath it, and it's a perfect inning again for Alex Wood. We're going to the 7th. 2-0 Dodgers in front. Open as the world's greatest golfers battle to be crowned America's champion in golf's can't miss major of the year. The 117th U.S. Open continues tomorrow 11 Eastern on Fox, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. 4-way tie atop the leaderboard just outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Ricky Fowler really faded late. He was up to as high as 9 under par going into the final, 5 or 6 holes today, and then slipped to -6. But right there.
Sure is fun to watch, though. A couple more days of that, and we'll find out who the U.S. Open winner is this year. Meanwhile, the left-hander comes out of the bullpen, Wandy Peralta. As I mentioned earlier, you really do need a left-hander or 2 or 3 in your bullpen. When you face this Dodger team, they've got so many left-handers, a couple of switch hitters, and they're going to pinch hit for their top of the order guy, Chase Utley.
Yes, they are. Kike Hernandez will bat and stay in the game to play second base. And Peralta delivers Steve right to. Alex Wood is pitching a masterpiece here tonight, working on a 3-hitter. Adelman gave the Reds 6 solid innings tonight, and really that's what Adelman has by and large done since being inserted into this rotation. Tonight his 11th start, pitched in 1 game out of the bullpen, 6 frames, allowed 5 hits, 2 runs. Walked 4, hit a batter, fanned 4. It's just so interesting to look at the position players, the 8 that are on the field tonight for the Dodgers, and the 8 that are on the field tonight for the Reds. You know, everybody likes to play that game. You start going around and you say, okay, you take this guy or that guy, right? I mean, you look at this Dodger team tonight. Puig has been a guy who's been a very average player, very average, for the last 2 or 3 years. He's a right fielder. You got a center fielder in Peterson who's not even an everyday player. He's hitting under 200 on the year coming into the game tonight. You got Taylor, who's not considered to be a huge prospect guy. He's going to be 27. He's a good, solid player. But, you know, how much better than an average player is Taylor at the end of the day? Turner, far better than average. Seager, potential star. Utley, best days are far behind him. Still a good player. He's not in the top half of the league of everyday second baseman, probably even now. And you look over at first where they would normally have Gonzalez. Swing and a miss. And you've got Bellinger who's tearing it up. And we'll see how long that goes. I mean, he's the hottest hitter on the planet right now. Then you go behind the plate and you got Grandal, who hits a lot of home runs. Pitchers like pitching to him. But, I mean, if you were to rip off the top 7, 8, 10, 12 catchers in baseball with Grandal being that equation, maybe you would. Let's say yes. But overall, this is a team 15 games over 500. And one Dodger, watcher who sees this team a lot told me before the game, in his opinion, they have a lot of guys that are basically utility players and backup players that are playing regularly on this Dodger team right now. And boy, does it tell you the story about what pitching means to a team.
Well, not only starting pitching either. Of course, they've got the best pitcher on the planet, Clayton Kershaw. But their bullpen is the best in the league as well.
They're one of 5 teams now in the major leagues with 40 wins on the year, and 3 of them, of course, reside in the NL West. Reds have action in their bullpen. Drew Storen, the right-hander, begins to throw. And there's a 1-out walk to Seager, left-handed batting shortstop.
Well, that's the one area where Peralta has really gotten better from last year. Rookie year last year, he walked 7 batters in 7 innings. This year, that's only his 9th walk in about 30 innings. Turner's a good fastball hitter, short stroke. Waddy throws it up there high 90s, but Turner's got some power. And he starts him off with a changeup.
Since Turner came to the Dodgers in 2014, he has the 5th best batting average among all National League players, the 9th highest on base percentage, and ranks 11th among all National League players the last 3+ years in slugging percentage. And now they have Seager caught in a rundown. And the tag made by Peralta, and that's a 2nd out of the inning.
He was going on it, but he realized after a couple of steps that he picked the wrong time to go on that. So now both pitchers, or at least both teams, have a pitcher with a pickoff at first base.
0-2 on Turner. And we'll do it again. See the numbers in his career with the Dodgers. He was off to the best start of his major league career this year before getting hurt. Was leading the major leagues in batting average. Was first in the National League in hits, second in doubles, third in on-base percentage. And now working his way back to being in the lineup regularly again. Off the glove of a leaping shortstop Cozart. And that is a fourth straight time Turner has reached base in the game tonight. 2 hits and 2 walks.
Gets jammed on this one, does Turner, and gets a little good fortune.
Now Peralta will face Bellinger, who's 1 of 3 in the game. Well, the only left-handed batter in this inning that Peralta faced, he walked in Seager. And now he's fallen behind 2-1 on the left-handed batting Bellinger. 2-2. That ball stung to left field, but Duvall is there to run it down, and that'll end the inning. Boy, this kid has hit the ball hard tonight. They stand and stretch at Great American Ballpark. 2-0 Dodgers lead it. Taking a look at Joey Votto. His plate appearances per walk, 4th best. Plate appearances per strikeout, 5th best. Per home run, 5th best. The only player in the top 12 in all 3 categories. 1 of 2 in the top 30, along with Anthony Rizzo. All right, Alex Wood, for only the 2nd time this year, pitching into the 7th inning. His season long was 7 1/3 against Miami back in mid-May. He had thrown 96 pitches in that game, and he's going to be far less than that if he pitches into the 8th inning the way he's going tonight. This will be just his 70th pitch of the game. Votto leads off the 7th inning. 0-2. This guy has been a strike machine tonight as Wood.
And this year he's been really, really good against left-handed hitters. Has not always been that way in his career, but this year the splits are remarkable.
1 out.
Here's the splits that we were talking about. When a left-handed pitcher faces a left-handed hitter, you don't always neutralize him, but the odd thing is this year he's getting everybody out. Normally, over the course of his career, both of those batting averages are more like 245 versus righties, 245 or so versus lefties. The right-hander's having a hard time negotiating that breaking ball down and in. He's got enough on his fastball. Talked to Mesoraco a little bit before the game about him because he faced him in LA. So he just has a quick fastball, just gets on you quick.
Got a new ball, the batter.
I would imagine he hides the ball extremely well. I mean, that's a good shot that we have from behind home plate. Gives you a little bit of an idea of what you have to figure out when you're watching that motion, and then all of a sudden the ball comes at you.
Those first pitch strikes have been deadly tonight for Wood. All but 3 of the 24 batters he's faced in the game. And look what happens, the difference between Wood and many, virtually every other pitcher. When you're ahead 0-1 as opposed to behind 1-0, that's a great piece of statistical information in a game clearly overloaded with numbers and getting more so by the day. That right there tells a story. I mean, that tells you a story. If Alex Wood is getting ahead of hitters in 21 of the 24 batters he's faced tonight, the first pitch in the at-bat has been strike 1. Look what he does to opposing hitters so far this year. Behind 1-0, ahead 0-1. The Reds are getting shut out tonight on a total of 3 base hits. Two pitch and the count even, and this is down and in.
I wonder how the Braves feel about that trade that eventually sent Wood to the Dodgers. It was a complicated 3-team trade where a certain number of players went one way, and actually it was a trade that not only included Alex Wood from Atlanta, but also Bronson Arroyo was in that trade, Jose Peraza, and Jim Johnson.
And Johnson's been really good for the Braves. Who wants this one? 4 of them out there. The left fielder, Kike Hernandez, who stays in the game after pinch hitting a moment ago. Taylor comes in to play second base. Hernandez makes a play for out number 2.
And interestingly enough, in that trade that had all those players, and we've only mentioned a few of them, also had Matt Latos in that deal, going from the Marlins to the Dodgers.
I'd love to be on the phone for one of those trades and just see how that whole thing kind of works when you have that many teams involved and that many players that are not only just going from one team to another. So I mean, you can think of maybe some 3-way deals, and okay, my guys are going to your team's going to guy C, and C's coming to me. 3-3-2, whatever it might be. But when it starts getting into things where I'm sending you one guy, I'm sending another team 2 guys, that'd be fascinating to hear that. That's all for the Reds. Man, this guy is in complete control. Total control. 2-0 Dodgers in front.
Bud and Burgers viewing party presented by Budweiser. First 30,000 fans through the gates will receive a replica Pete Rose statue thanks to PNC Bank. For tickets, visit reds.com/Pete. And I am holding in my hands this replica statue. Very cool item here. It's got some weight to it, and it is a sneak preview of what indeed that statue is going to look like. It's kind of a sculpture marvel, if you will. Pete Rose, that famous head-first slide. This is what that statue is going to look like, and it is sweet.
Well, tomorrow is a big day indeed. And we can't wait for that. I know many of you will be dialed in, if you're not already coming down here, for the unveiling of that statue of Peter Edward Rose at Great American Ballpark tomorrow. Drew Story now takes over on the mound. We're in the 8th inning, and the Dodgers still a 2-0 advantage. Chris Taylor to lead things off against Story. One out. Wandy Peralta works a scoreless inning. He walked a batter, struck out a batter, allowed 1 hit, no runs. After 6 innings, a 2-run baseball by Adelman. And Votto will wave off Story. And just like that, 3 pitches, 2 outs for Story. Coming up tonight after every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio, we invite you to stay with us for Reds Live. It's brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Jim Day will be reporting from the Fox Sports Ohio condominium, and Jeff Pecoro will be bringing you a player interview if the Reds can get a win, and certainly all the comments made in the clubhouse following the game. 2 down for Peterson. There is not a body that has moved in that Dodger bullpen all night tonight, and why should it? Alex Wood is working on a 3-hit shutout. Peterson is 2 out of 3 in the game, hit a home run to get the Dodgers on the board in the 2nd inning. And then had a double down the line in the 4th, bounced to the mound his last time up. 3 balls and a strike. Cardinals blasting Baltimore tonight at Camden Yards, 8-1 in the 7th. Still 3-2.
Or Peterson takes a hack, doesn't he? The last fastball that he saw that he chased upstairs and did not catch up to, but I mean, he nearly fell over. Storen throws him the breaking ball to try to get him maybe off that fastball a little bit in case he wants to come here with it again on a 3-2 pitch.
You know, it's still hard to believe. We brought up the Dodgers, and you know, they've won 4 consecutive National League West titles. Of course, in 2 of those years, the Giants wound up being the World Series champions. And you look at this Dodger franchise, and with all the glitz and all the glamour and all the great players, and you know, it's been a longer run for the Dodgers since winning a World Series than it has been for the Reds winning a World Series. The Dodgers have not won a World Series since Kirk Gibson hit that home run off Dennis Eckersley going all the way back to 1988. And not only have they not won one since '88, they haven't played in one since '88. The last number of years, they went to the playoffs in 04, 06, 08, 09, 13, 14, 15, 16. Went to the league championship series we mentioned last year before losing to the Cubs in 6, and the 2 years before that in 13 they lost to the Cardinals in the National League Championship Series. But I think a lot of people would lose that bet. Even some, you know, not hardcore baseball fans. They're well, the Dodgers have not been to the World Series, but I think a lot of pretty decent baseball fans might be surprised this franchise has not won one since '88.
I think a lot of people in Cincinnati would be surprised because of the rivalry that had been built between the Dodgers and the Reds, Big Red Machine, and the Dodgers back in the day. I mean, those were classic battles. Of course, they were both in the same division. And that was when, you know, a July or an August series, when the Dodgers came to town along with Tommy Lasorda, they would draw 150,000 people for those 3 games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And the place was just electric.
Three and 1 on Yasiel Puig. And now 3 and 2. You know, the Reds played in 4 World Series during the decade of the 70s. 1970, they lost to Baltimore. 1972, they lost, of course, to Oakland. 75, 76, winning over Boston and these Yankees. The Dodgers played in 3 World Series in the 1970s. And of course, they did not win a single one of them. Well, now Storen has walked Peterson and Puig after retiring the first 2 batters in the inning.
And the question was whether you're going to see Alex Wood come to the plate because you're at the pitcher spot, or maybe a pinch hitter, and Wood is going to make his way up there. Dave Roberts didn't win that Manager of the Year for nothing. You know, there's always a level of uncertainty when you go to the bullpen, and the Dodgers have a good bullpen, but there still is a level of uncertainty. You don't know what you're getting exactly. With Wood, how about that?
Well, you had some bad luck, but you walked the first 2 guys in the inning. So Wood has walked for the first time all year tonight. It was back in the 4th inning, and now he drives in a run, his 3rd RBI of the season, to make it 3-0. Now back to the top of the order. It's Hernandez who replaced Utley. You may remember in the 7th inning as a pinch hitter and struck out. Every Dodger run in this game has happened after the first 2 batters in an inning were retired. In the 2nd inning, they got a 2-out solo home run by Peterson. In the 3rd inning, after a fly ball and a ground ball, a walk to Turner, a single to Bellinger, RBI double by Taylor. And now against Storen here in the 8th. Ground out to 3rd, roller to 1st, walk, hit. 3-0. And now Mac Jenkins trots out. You know, while I have a moment, I met a guy when I came to town a number of years ago out in Marymount named Chip Turner. Met him and his wife, and a few years later his wife passed away. Devastating time for their family, as you can imagine. And then just a few days ago, one of their sons, Ben Turner, was killed in an automobile accident. It has just been a shocking blow to everyone in and around, friends and family, not only the Turners but those in the Marymount area and surrounding communities that went to school with their kids. And just like to send our thoughts and prayers to Chip and his family. There are no words that I could offer that could ever ease that kind of pain. Inning over. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 3-0 Dodgers over the Reds.
And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Time to take a look at our Honda game summary. In the 2nd inning, Peterson a solo blast. The Dodgers without a run in the 3rd and one in the 8th. But the one off the bat of Peterson so far has been more than enough for left-handed starter Alex Wood. Came in 6-0. And he has been spectacular here tonight.
Yeah, we haven't seen a game, Tom, that is this low scoring but seems so lopsided just by the fact that the opposing pitcher or one of the pitchers has just been so dominating. In fact, maybe the last time we've seen a game like this, it was a game that was started by Tim Alderman in Philadelphia when he went 8 innings of one-hit baseball against the Phillies. Now this time it's reversed and he faces Alex Wood, who has been dealing. This will be Wood's 80th pitch of the night.
Schebler to lead things off. Big shift put on Scott, and a swing and a miss on a high fastball. Schebler has bounced to second and flied out to left field. Well, we have seen the Reds so many times already this year, especially here at home, rally late in games. Do they have another one in them tonight? Second baseman Taylor will charge in the 2 hopper, 1 out. You know, you don't call tonight a dominant performance. I mean, a dominant performance, you watch a guy go punch out 14, 15 guys and just dominate people. But this is dominating him in a very different way. This is just complete and total control and command of the game.
Well, you know, pitching to contact, which seems to be something that a lot of pitchers don't do anymore. But he's had good defense behind him. There have not been all that many hard hit baseballs. And most of those came early in the ball game. Cozart hit one for a line out. Votto had a base hit. That was hard hit. Suarez hit a double. That was very hard hit. But other than that, there just has not been a lot of line drives in this game.
The best scoring chance for the Reds, if you're just tuning in, came in the second inning when the Dodgers led 1-0. Suarez was at third with 1 out. Dodgers brought their infield in, and the batter now, Peraza, hit a ground ball right at Seager, the shortstop, who threw out Suarez at the plate. Other than that, the Reds have only once had a batter reach second base since the second inning, and that was Suarez in the 5th. Taylor will gobble this one up. The deepest into a game this season for Alex Wood. Mentioned earlier, his prior high was 7 1/3, now 7 2/3 innings in the books.
Well, career-wise, this is unknown territory for Wood. He's only pitched into the 8th 6 times. Last time was in 2015.
Down the left field line, and that is a foul ball off the bat of Devin Mesoraco. This game by Wood tonight is certainly hand in hand with what the Dodgers have done to the Reds over the last number of years. You go back to 2015, the Dodgers are 14-3 against Cincinnati. Does this one have enough for Mesoraco? You better believe it. The Reds are on the board. Mesoraco home run number 6, and the Reds now trim that lead back down to 2.
Well, they nearly hit one out of here, but it went foul. But that time, no question about it. A mistake pitch by Wood. And slammed by Mesoraco.
Only the second home run this entire year given up by Wood. He had allowed 1 home run in 53 2/3 innings.
That's amazing.
Kiblahan to bat for Storen, who gives up a run, walks 2, allows a hit in 1 inning of work. One and 2 on Kiblahan. Bouncer down to first, and that'll be all for the Reds. They finally get on the board, the home run by Mesoraco. But as we go to the ninth, the Reds trail by 2.
It's brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing. However, tomorrow, an hour before the game, we hit there at 3 o'clock for a 4:10 first pitch because it is a very special day as Hyun Jin Ryu will take them out against Asher Wojciechowski. We have the game and, of course, all the pregame ceremonies. The statue unveiling of Peter Edward Rose at 1 o'clock tomorrow out in front of Great American Ballpark. And this was earlier today as they were getting that statue ready. Now it's going to sit out there between Joe Morgan's statue and Tony Perez's statue. So all the boys back together, if you will. And we will have all of the pregame ceremonies, on-field ceremonies. Pete's teammates returning as usual. Reds Live, 3 o'clock tomorrow. Pete's Day. We hope you can join us.
All righty, Jim Day, thank you very, very much. It's going to be a big day indeed. Can't wait for that. Taking over now on the mound is Blake Wood. He'll be facing 2, 3, and 4 in the Dodger batting order. LA a 3-1 lead. Seager, Turner, Bellinger. Lefty, righty, lefty. Two-out walk in the third inning with nobody on. Came around to score. Two-out walk in the 8th inning. Came around to score. And those are the 2 runs that are the difference in this game right now. On swinging is Seager to begin the Dodger night.
I saw a comeback there for Blake Wood. He went down 3-0 and came right back. Eventually got a fastball that Seager chases just like a hair above the zone, but blew it right by him.
Looking ahead to the Reds' bottom of the 9th inning, it'll be the top of the order. Hamilton, Cozart, and Votto. They've got the firepower to erase this 2-run lead. I would imagine the Dodgers have their outstanding closer, Kenley Jansen, getting ready in the bullpen. Yes, he is. Big fella heard offers from other teams during the offseason, decided to stay with the Dodgers. You see the left-hander alongside him down there, Luis Avian.
Not sure when they would use Avian. Would they take Kenley Jansen out?
No.
Maybe if he pulls a hamstring running into the mound. Yeah, better have some backup.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I reckon that's the old way. Old Avilan's coming into this one behind the big fella. Suarez will throw out Turner for the second out of the inning. You know, we were talking about the walks in this game, the 2 walks, one by Adelman that came in the LA third, and that walk wound up scoring, and the walk given up by Storen in the last inning that came around to score after 2 were out. The Dodger closer, Kenley Jansen. If you can imagine this, he has faced 100 batters this season. He has struck out 45 of the 100. He has not issued a single walk.
That is incredible.
I mean, I don't remember the last time ever reading something like that. 100 batters, striking out almost half of them, and not a single walk. It extends his major league record for most strikeouts to open a season without a walk. Going swinging is Bellinger to end the inning. All right, here we go. Top of the order coming up. Reds down 2. by Kroger. Stop by your Kroger neighborhood store to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices at Kroger by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com and by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Mesoraco, a solo home run to get the Reds on the board. For Devin, his 6th home run since coming off the disabled list. So here we go with the Reds down 2 in the last of a 9th inning. Kenley Jansen. What an unbelievable year he's having. Already his 28th game, an ERA of under 1. And we mentioned not a single walk in almost 28 innings.
Well, it's not like he hasn't done excellent pitching before. Dodgers re-signed him, as you said, Tom, as a free agent. That got Billy on the first pitch.
How about that? We just talked about this guy's extraordinary control. He's not walked about her all year long.
That is the second batter that he has hit by pitch. Are they going to call that a foul ball?
I was getting ready to say, or did it get him?
If it got him on the hands, it's a hit by pitch. I think got him right on top of the hands.
Sure looks like it.
I don't think I've ever seen that, though, where a batter pulls a bunt back and then he ends up getting hit on the hands, on the in his case, the bottom hand there. He's going to keep the bat in his hand. They call it a foul ball. Well, must have hit the knob of the bat and his hand. Or they called that he didn't get the bat back in time. Or his hand was in the strike zone, because the hands are not part of the bat.
It's something you hear people say all the time, isn't it?
Well, the way you remember that is you go into a sporting goods store, you see a rack of bats, none of them have hands on them. Yeah, right away the home plate umpire called a foul ball. Lansbury. Yeah.
So to everybody at home, they're saying, and you and I sitting here in the booth, we're looking at it saying it looked like he got hit right on the hand. So what are we missing here?
Well, a hit by pitch is a potentially reviewable play. I don't think a foul ball is a reviewable play.
I'm just having a hard time understanding, unless we just didn't have a very good look at it. It looked like that ball hit Billy Hamilton on the back of his right hand.
Yeah,
having a really hard time understanding.
I am too.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I can understand not being able to see it at real time behind the plate with an umpire. And it probably sounded like it hit wood too.
Hamilton hits one hard into right field, and that is up and over the wall. A ground rule double by Hamilton. So now the Reds will bring the tying run to the plate with nobody out here in the bottom of the ninth.
Now he'd rather have a double bouncing over the wall anyway, Billy would. Well, That's just a nice, really good short stroke by Hamilton.
If you haven't seen Kenley Jansen pitch before, his main pitch is a natural cut fastball,
And he throws it hard.
very much like that pitch that made Mariano Rivera one of the best closers of all time.
Alex Wood tonight goes 8 spectacular innings. Allows 4 hits and a run. He does not walk a batter. He hit a batter and struck out 4. Jansen comes on and allows a double to Hamilton to start the inning, and now it's Kozite. Dodger bullpen, we mentioned earlier, first in the National League in ERA. Second best opponent's batting average, walks and hits per innings pitched. Opponents on base percentage of 4-to-1, strikeout to walk ratio. They've been lights out. Starting with a guy on the mound.
Well, he has not blown a save yet this year, and he nailed down 47 of them last year.
That's out number 1. Now Votto. The tying run of the plate, Joey, tied for the league lead with 19 home runs on the year. Strike 1. Chased 96 up and away, and Votto behind at 0-2. Holy Moses. Did you see that delivery by Jansen? He went into bringing the ball to the plate and was staring at the runner at second base the entire time. He snapped that neck around. Look at this. I mean, legs already in the air, going to the plate, and then a quick turn and bam. 97 up and away.
Boy, does he keep his front side closed.
All right, one more crack at him. Here's Duvall. Duvall, as we know, has tremendous power. 15 home runs. Duvall, the tying run of the plate here in the last of the 9th inning. Oh, he had a good pitch right there. Pretty good cut at it at 95, but fouled it straight back. And now Jansen ahead 0-2. Bottom fell out after a double by Hamilton. 3 straight strikeouts by Jansen. His 14th save. Alex Wood goes to 7-0 and a tough luck loser tonight. Tim Adelman slips to 4-3. Dodgers win the opener. Final count of 3-1. The Reds have matched their season high with their 7th consecutive loss here tonight. Let's go downstairs and begin with Reds Live and check in with Jim Day.
Tom, thank you very much. Coming up on Reds Live, the post-game edition. If you missed the Scooter Gennett pregame ceremonies, we'll bring you highlights of that as well as take you inside the dinner for Pete Rose held at the ballpark tonight. Pete's Big Day is on tap tomorrow. We'll set you up for that. And as always, you'll hear from the manager before anyone else. Highlights as well. Reds Live, the post-game edition is brought to you by Performance Kings Honda, and we are on deck.